Doing great.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Hi.
So
nice to meet you, Mary. Thank you for having me to your home. I love the color of your front door.
Thank you.
And the love sign, of course. It's such a cute touch.
That's
I need to get one of your masks that have that logo.
Oh
on
yeah,
there.
I think we have some more around here.
A few left
somewhere.
somewhere.
All right, well, let's get started. Thank you so much for having me here today. Bump Galetta. First thing I gotta know is, where does the nickname come from?
It's not as exciting story as just having a nickname like that, but my parents raised me in a very conservative, sheltered home, and in my teens I discovered skateboarding and punk rock, and so for them that was a lot. So the best way to raise me was to send me away on summers to summer camps to work for the whole summer. And while I'm at these summer camps, I would like to do pranks and just mess with people, like, you know, sneak sand cranes into their dorm in the morning, or just all the typical pranks you would do to somebody at a summer camp. And anyway, one of my pranks, which wasn't even that great, didn't go well, and so I got my nickname from there. And then everywhere I went from that summer camp, if I went to school or college or somewhere, they're like, Bump's here. And so it just would follow me everywhere I went. And so now, like, friends and family, everybody calls me Bump.
That's funny. You are everywhere right now. You have exploded on Lakeland. And I feel like I'm late to the party because I was going back through some of your stuff and realized that you did a podcast with Jay Che a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I was like scrolling through because I knew that you had done one with him, and so I was scrolling through like just to get some, inspire. And I was scrolling. I was like, oh geez, I'm a little late to this party.
Yeah.
But so I grew up with Jay Che in elementary school. Well, I didn't grow up with him, but we went to school together when we were kids.
He's a good guy. We did a collab because I was doing my own podcast at the same time, and we both wanted to kind of interview each other. So we're like, let's just do one and we'll share it on both our sites and everything like that. So, and he's kept his going. I kind of like stopped after, I think, episode 30 something. Yeah. But because I get my hands into a lot of things. Yes. So sometimes you got to cut some stuff out, and some stuff are bigger and harder to cut out. But it just but it was fun. I enjoyed having conversations like that.
So most recently you've been painting at Parker Street Ministries. Yeah. What is that about? Well,
we were trying to keep it top secret, but now we can talk about it now.
Oh, but, good.
But somebody had donated a grant for them to help pretty much make their playground areas better. And one of the ideas we came up with, I think they started it and then brought me in, was to pretty much make an active sidewalk where the kids can practice their memory, their learning, their math, some social skills, some games. And so, since I love doing murals and painting, and the initial person they brought in was unable to do it, we just teamed up and we got to work on this project. And so they showed me what they wanted, but they said I could put my own spin on it. And so I just took, like a hopscotch game, and we turned it to like a rocket blasting off, and then an alphabet where you're jumping around on top of a giant centipede, caterpillar type creature. And then there's some fun obstacle courses we made some jumping ones, but it's just to kind of, for the community, just to brighten the playground, give them things to do. And then I always remember as a kid, I always go around with toys. I always have my G.I. Joes or a tank or car with me. And so for those kids that are there, I made a special thing where it's just a bunch of different roads and areas so they can have like their own little outside. So if they're not on the playground under the other ones, they can have all their, or if the girls want to have their Barbies walking on an adventure, or taking Ken out in the Corvette.
Or if the girls want to have their Corvette.
Cruising out there. So they're just, I call them interactive murals that I just paint on the sidewalk. And we did 2 versions. So we did one at Lake Wire and one at Parker Street. So I did 6 at one and 9 at the other. But it was just, it ended up being one of my favorite things to do. It was a lot of hard work because I physically can't be in certain poses for long times, or I can't lift a lot of things. But man, I was just having fun. But then the last day, it was in the 30s, and I'm out there.
I was thinking about that because I saw you post on Facebook about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the chilliest time to be out there.
But I'll say the most rewarding thing is at 3 o'clock when the school kids showed up, and some of them were already done, just hearing their like, look at this. They cannot wait. And I was trying to make sure some were ready when they got there. Yeah. So we at least had 3 ready on certain times when the kids came out. And just seemed they really dug it. They liked how it looked, and so that just made it so much even more. So I'm just like, make it bigger, make it brighter, add more effects to it. So, but they just announced it today on social media, and we're doing a ribbon cutting in February for it.
Oh, fantastic. I have such a heart for kids.
Yeah.
You know, like you were saying, talking about growing up in a very religious background. I did as well. And I think probably, well, how old are you? Do you mind if I ask you that?
I always get stuck. I'm 44.
Okay, so I'll be 46 this year. I'm 45. And so we're around the same age.
Yeah.
And so, you know, growing up in our era, it was more that children should be seen and not heard, and you know, those types of things where kids' ideas were not always valued. And it was more about cultivating obedience rather than cultivating ideas.
Well,
and
we're also the latchkey kids that were allowed to go anywhere they want without questioning, but just as long as you're back in time for dinner or dressed up for church, it's like, it's crazy at those times we have, because I'm like, I'm not letting my kids do what I did.
Right? Yes. But two, I think that we come from a generation who didn't always listen to children. You know, and value their opinions and ideas and that kind of thing. And so as an adult, and then, you know, as an educator, I'm just so adamant that, you know, that we need to give children a voice and pay attention to, you know, their ideas and stuff. So anytime I see somebody doing what you're doing, it's so thrilling. It's so exciting.
If I can add on to it, I feel like once we get more into this, that I've definitely been blessed with a second chance in being alive and what I get to do. And I was a youth pastor for 20 years. So I've always worked with kids and teenagers and middle schoolers in every type of, you know, inner city to, you know, the woods, the country, the city, suburban, whatever. And so now that I get to do what I get to do, I always try to do a give back that I enjoy. So I'm always trying to team up with different charities and ministries to come and do art classes. So I got to go work with some kids who just, they don't have father figures in their life, and got to hang out with them and draw and get to know them. And then same, I'll go to Parker Street and we'll do some art classes and just whatever on that end, where I at least help and give them a chance to create and make stuff without, like, you know, put some certain parameters on it. Just trying to be there for them. And also just, I feel like I'm blessed with some of the tools I get, so that I have opportunity to give those away and like see their face, like, oh, I get some, you know, free markers and pens and pencils. So that's just like another big part of what I get to do. I love it. So when Parker Street asked me to do this for the kids, I'm just like, yeah, even more. However I can, you know, we can give and help and encourage, or maybe some kids like, I want to paint like this. Who knows where it's going to lead? But I just love these opportunities where I can help out with our community and with our city here.
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that the kids in our community have people like you who they can look to and realize that there are careers, there are creative careers, opportunities, you know, like that you can actually draw and paint for a living. I'm
still shocked every day.
It's so inspiring, and I love sharing your posts and being able to, you know, just put the message out there that there are more opportunities than you know, that a lot of times children are given the opportunity to think about, you know. It's typically doctor, lawyer, nurse, you know, and not that those we need people in those professions, definitely, you know, but I don't think that we encourage the arts as much as maybe we should or could, you know. I was looking on your website recently, and gorgeous video on your website, by the way. I love that. It was that Live Loud Productions.
Yes.
Is that how the name of that? I love the video. It's fantastic, beautiful. and I was looking on your website because, of course, we've only met once before, so I was kind of trying to do some scouting, you know, and I saw on your website that you call yourself a commercial artist, and I found that interesting because, you know, a lot of artists, I think, don't want to be associated with the word commercial, you know, like it's a sellout or something. But I mean, that is how you are affording your life, but you know, and
well, just to add, I mean, for that, it's like, I've always been a guy that's into punk rock and skateboarding, and part of that's like, you know, I don't really follow a crowd. I don't really follow the authority. I don't really, if it's the trend, I'm going to go the opposite. That's just how I mentally think, because I've always been that way. I was never with those groups who are like, we're going to do this and that. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to do my own trail in a sense. Yeah. And so even for this, like, I didn't even know, like, everybody has some term or thing like that, but I'm pretty much a freelance illustrator, but that's a long sentence. So just telling people working or commercial artists, it kind of helps make sense. Like, oh yeah, I can do work for you, or I can go do a piece for a gallery or whatever. But in the end, I still need to have consistent
right.
And
I still need to sell this and pay the bills.
And I'm not afraid of it. If it bothers somebody, that's fine. That's them. I don't, I've never cared what anybody's thought, and I feel people understand that. I mean, I'm just thankful to be alive and have my family and get to do this. As long as I can go to Disney on our Disney passes, that's my goal. I don't care if somebody over there is upset by this or that, or just doesn't, we're free to have our choices.
Exactly. Speaking of living, having second chances, the reason I wanted you in this project, and I know it took us a while to get here, and I'm so thankful that you were able to make the time for me and for this project. I really wanted you involved because your story so directly relates to the art of recovery. Your art was actually part of your recovery, and is very poignant. So share with me, if you will, what happened to you August 25th?
4th, I can't remember the year anymore.
2010.
So it's like a little over 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gruesome, so I'll try to keep out some of the details.
Whatever you're comfortable with. I don't want to drag you back through it either. And
thankfully, I've been through some good therapy and counseling, and have some good friends and family that, it's not like a topic we talk about a lot, which is cool. Everybody respects that, but at the same time, I know, like, it could help somebody. Maybe somebody's been there and just doesn't know what the next step is. I mean, for us, we still feel we're learning and growing. But back on that day, prior to that, I had taken up cycling. So my goal was to do 20, 30 miles a day. And I wasn't like Lance Armstrong in spandex or anything. I just needed to keep moving, keep my body active. Because my grandfather lived into his 90s. And it's because he just kept fishing and working. So that was my mind with cycling. I'm just going to go out, ride these trails. And so we had just gone to Jacksonville to see our sister-in-law graduate from nursing school. So a quick, like, one day, one night trip. So we didn't have hardly any luggage or anything. And I brought my bicycle because I knew there was a new trail along my in-laws' house. I'm like, I'm going to ride the trail and we're going to leave. It was like the next morning after the graduation. And so I was less than a mile from the house. I was almost done. It was like just 8 miles. And to give a good picture, is like I'm in front of a middle school. I'm on like a special walking trail for the kids. There's a guardrail. And just for some reason, there was construction. So I'm pretty much in the safest place you can be as a person walking around a bicycle. But the person who struck me, I believe, worked at the school when they were running late. And so they tried to beat me at this intersection I had the right of way to. And so they hit me with a car, and it threw me like 25 feet. And I landed like on my head and face or whatever. But then they proceeded to run over me with all 4 tires. And I guess, I've never been the person to have done that before, but they were nervous or scared, didn't know where it was, so they ended up backing back over me with everything. So I had almost 30 broken bones, and almost died at the scene. They had to life flight me out of there. And then same thing in the hospital, almost died again. But it was in ICU for almost 2 weeks, and in the hospital for another couple weeks, and then just have had years of surgery and therapy and recovery and physical therapy. But it was like both my collarbones were broken, all my ribs, my pelvis, my hands, my face, internal injury. It just, whatever a car can do. But,
Right.
But it was crazy. It's just, like my wife didn't know. She didn't know for like hours. She didn't. I guess somebody in the school finally called and let them know because they were just trying to like get me in the hospital and take care of me.
Right.
But anyway, that's just.
And that was in Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville.
And so, were you living here then?
Living here, so.
And oh my gosh!
So we didn't have anything.
You weren't even at home.
And on top of all of this, Mary was 8.5 months pregnant with our second kid, Finn. So when I did have consciousness, I'm just like, can you send the nicest person? My wife's pregnant. I don't want to go into early labor. We can't handle both these at the same time.
Right.
But, by the time I did get home and she did have Finn, I was like, all the injuries I had, you couldn't cast or secure. So I'm having I'm just a floating bag of broken bones, having to have all these pillows and things. So like, even when we went to have the delivery of Finn, like I'm sitting there surrounded in pillows. They had to hand me him and take him back because I just didn't have the strength to hold him. But it was just, it's crazy. I mean, I shouldn't have survived that. I shouldn't be here today. But definitely a miracle for us. And it was, it's. I still have a lot of physical limitations. I can't lift a lot of things, and so that's the other hard part. As a man, you want to help out and be there, and pride sets in, and then you end up hurting yourself because you try to do too much.
Right.
So.
And then just make all of the situations worse.
Yeah. So that's, the nutshell what kind of started this new chapter that, we weren't prepared for or even thinking about. Because I was a full-time youth pastor working at a church here in Lakeland,
Oh my gosh. And then Mary, my goodness.
So,
I just can't even imagine.
So I didn't go back to
with
work
an
for
infant
months. Yeah.
and then your husband is...
Yeah, because Emerson was 2, because she's 2 years older than Finn,
and a toddler. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bump. Oh. It's just literally impossible for someone who has not been on the brink of death at the same time as having a new infant. It's just impossible for any. That story is so unique. Yeah. There's, no way that anybody could even begin to understand what that was like. What I am most interested is a terrible word. It's like gossiping.
No,
I'm so intrigued. But what I most wanted to talk to you about was then what happened after that.
Yeah.
So the PTSD that you suffered.
Right.
Because, I'm just sitting here thinking how lonely that had to have been in your head, and not have anybody who could actually understand.
Well, I think too, part of it for me was like with the injuries I had, I was so medicated first off. Like I was on every type of insane drug you can take, the highest pain, because you can just walk around with over almost 30 broken bones. It's just that alone. It's just all this weird stuff. And all those injuries and the recovery is all another story.
Yeah.
But I just was just in my own world and bubble. I didn't really know that I was drifting away from my family. That wasn't being I wasn't being a good husband. I wasn't being a good father, and also wasn't being a good friend because my friends were even pointing it out. So there was kind of like a somewhat intervention between my wives and friends. Like, you need to go to talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. And just being in ministry, the number one thing you hear from most men if you suggest marriage counseling or anything counseling, pride. I don't need it. I can figure it myself. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm like, all right, if you think I need it, I want it. Whatever I can do to get better. I don't. Obviously, I'm affecting everybody around me.
Did you feel like you needed it?
I just knew, I felt like, I guess most people say, I was in a fog. I did have all the symptoms, I was constantly waking up screaming from flashbacks. I literally could not sleep for years. That's what kind of made the side hustle come in, because I would just sleep maybe 3 hours, 4 hours a day, tops. And there's a lot of triggers, certain things I would see with, when I first started driving a car again, I would constantly have to pull over because seeing another cyclist or the type of car that hit me. My mayor's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't breathe right now. I'm having a heart attack, which, you find out that's the anxiety panic attacks.
But...
So I probably had 19 heart attacks or more. just you don't know the symptoms until you get diagnosed. So I'm having all these things, and then at the same time being medicated, you don't really follow up and talk about it. I can just, but when she finally, and everybody, we sat down and talked, and I mean, me and Mary had our own talks too. I just like, all right, I don't want to destroy our family. I didn't realize how bad it was, and then my first couple of meetings, they let me know like, yeah, we're going to diagnose you with PTSD. I'm like, I can't have that. I'm not in the military, because I just associate that with military. That's the only time I ever heard of PTSD at all. And she's like, no, you've been through a traumatic event. You've almost died numerous times, and you're still, struggling. Because I also, like, my memory's really jacked up from my accident. And I also had this thing with my eye. But it's just, all those things are playing and affecting you in your daily life. And there's like a little bit of depression going in, because you realize there's certain things you can and can't do. And sometimes you just don't want to talk about it, or you hear people telling your story and they're telling it wrong, but at the same time I don't want to talk about it. So you just got all these, and everybody has a different version of how they go through it. So I don't want to make mine sound worse or better than theirs. But for us, I'm like, all right, so like, what do I do? And so I think I went to counseling for a couple of years, and I still occasionally go in and get a little
checkup.
You need a little checkup or a little bounce, because things are not perfect ever.
Booster.
Yeah. But I tell this all the time in all my talks, but she said, I'm going to give you an exercise, and I'm not going to like tell you what to do. You got to come up with it. But she's like, this will help you with dealing with all the anxiety, all the pain, all the frustrations, all the nightmares. She's like, this just helps the mind kind of get back on track, and then start talking to the body. Kind of almost like how acupuncture works, where it pinpoints where the injury is, and they put it wherever the nerve is, and the nerve goes and tells the body like, hey, you got to fix that. And then sounds crazy, but it's the 2000
No, I don't think it sounds crazy at all.
But that was another part of my recovery, was acupuncture too. But so she gave me the exercise, and her exercise was find something that you truly love and put everything you have into that, and then find a way to release it, like to let it go. So she's like taking all the things I'm dealing with and everything that's in my mind and head, and so I just like, all right, well, I love to create and make things. I love to draw. And I couldn't like work with wood or anything like that at the time. So I'm like, I love to draw. I want to just create stuff. And then I'm like, all right, how do I release it? So I'm like, well, we like to go hiking. We like to walk. That's a big thing in our family. And also love coffee. We always get a lot of coffee shops and bookstores. So I just started making little original drawings. I put them like a little bag with a card, just in case they wanted to know who I was. And I just put a sign saying free art. And I would just put it and leave. Because for me, part of the therapy is I don't look back. I don't want to know if somebody finds it. I don't want to see somebody find it. I just... I know other people like, oh, you hit something, but for me, it's just like I'm releasing it. Yeah. I'm letting this thing go, and if it does something for somebody, that's awesome. If it just gets thrown away or whatever, I don't know. I just know it's out there. But after doing that for, I don't know how the time frame was, but I started getting emails or messages on social media like, hey, I found your artwork. This is pretty cool. It's like, oh, that's awesome. I found it. But then it's like, if I give you money, would you make something for me? I'm like, okay, what do you want? And I've never done something like that, like hired myself out for my artwork. I just drew stuff for people or for church or whatever, and it just started out going, slowly building. And so for us, what was shocking is like, this is to help me get better. This is not an intentional and I still hide art today, and now I even made it where people can help me hide art, which is awesome. So I had some friends take it to Denmark and Amsterdam and I believe Germany or something recently in castles, and now I have somebody taking some to Iceland for me next month, which that's my dream place. But it's fun that now people want to be involved in it, and it's still my part where I'm releasing it, but I'm releasing it in other hands. It's like a relay, but it just still blows our mind, because I'm like, I already had a career and a life and things I was doing, but I also love this new chapter too. Yeah. And so it's just kind of cool that I'm able to take all the things that I really know what I'm dealing with inside, and kind of use that to create something. And none of my drawings actually are of what I'm feeling or dealing with. It's just I'm releasing stuff in there. I've never really that's something I want to do eventually. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know, it's just, I never...
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about with that release. Because I don't do my art. I don't do, performing arts directing as a living. It's a side hustle. Yeah. Well, and not really even a hustle. It's more for me. I'm, like you said, I'm not intending for performing arts directing to be my pay the bills job. Yeah. It never has been. and I don't do it for money. You know,
Right.
it's not something that I pursue for money. But I always taught it, creating anything takes so much out of you.
Yeah.
And so I'm always, you know, having conversations with my husband, like, you know, I don't know, this might be it. Like, you know, this might be the last show, or this might be the last, you know, the last thing. And whenever I say that, he always, you know, gives me this panicked look, and he's like, you can't just not do what you do.
Yeah.
You'll go mad. And, you know, and I mean, it's right. He's right.
Yeah.
It's like literally something that, you know, creating in whatever medium you create in, it's unhealthy if you don't, you know, release that. And like you said, like, you know, shows that I've done in the past, it's not my personal thoughts and trauma that are, you know, that are seen. But that there is some kind of powerful magic in that, you know, in that release of, you know, that emoting.
I think one day, like, that's
will.
my goal, is to, like, I have a few images in my head I feel would suit it, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to, it's where I'm making a living off of it, but I don't want to, I don't know, put art out there off of it either yet at the moment. I think one day I'll try, even if it's just for me personally, or if I want to show it off, but it's still like, you know, I still get to use my talent in a sense that was still in me, because it was crazy. Even like my drawing hand, we didn't realize till after I got out of the hospital that my hand was broken. Like when you're in a trauma unit, they're just making sure your brain and heart's working. They're not checking everything else. And so they totally missed a couple bones, and so we had to go, and so they didn't get put back perfectly. And so like my drawing thumb is like, I have limitations with it too. And so my fear, like, I'm going arthritis or whatever, but at the same time, like, you know what, who cares? I mean, I survived all this stuff that's not in the meantime, but it's still like I constantly, like, I'm aware, you know, no matter what, if it's not my head or heart, it's like physically, you know, what happened to it. But
I don't want to back up and rehash it all, but I'm just I'm really inspired by your willingness to do that for other people. And at the same time, did you have to sober? Did you have to get sober after all of those medicines? Or
there's a bunch of stuff in there. So for the medicine, and so for me, like, it was making me not hurt, but at the same time it was doing a lot more damage on the inside. And also, like, some of the stuff would just knock me out for hours. So I'm away from my family and our new kids, so that wasn't helping. But I was also just knowing it was doing some damage to me inside. So like 2 years into it, I'm like, this, besides the counseling and everything else, I had this little friend, Pam Carroll. She kept coming up to me. She's like, you need to try acupuncture. I'm like, okay. And I just lumped that in with chiropractic, and they're just going to rope me into 1,000 appointments. That, for me, I didn't see results. Other people have. And I'm like, I'm not going to, all right. And I thanked her. It was really sweet, but she kept after me. And I noticed, like, she was changing. Like, she had some other ailments, but she was a different person. So I'm like, all right, I'll go see this person you're telling me about. And sure enough, like, when I'm walking into this appointment, I'm hunched over. I can't even stand up straight at the time. And he knew right away without me having to tell my story, because they're trained, like, if you're trained in the right way of acupuncture, and get like somebody who's actually from China and knows the thing, which this guy was. And it was incredible because he would, you know, pinpoint things and help me with it. And since I had multiple injuries, you know, the first thing we did, like, let's cleanse your body. Let's get all the chemicals, all the medicine out. So he did stuff for my liver and kidney, because I was having kidney stones like crazy. And I don't know if anybody's ever had a kidney stone. It's the most painful thing. Yeah. And I just tell people, like, it hurts so bad. Like, I don't even wish it on people that I don't like. I don't have anybody I don't like, but it hurts. And nobody can do anything for you about it. You just gotta. So he was helping me cleanse all the medicines and stuff out, but then also tell my body to fix stuff. So, you know, first thing's like, where do you hurt? And I'm like, well, my collarbones and ribs are all broken. And so as those started getting fixed, I'm like, oh, my back's still messed up, or this. And so, like, I didn't realize too, after my accident, that my pelvis was broken. We found that later on too.
Later. Oh my goodness.
It just, and thankfully you can manage with a broken pelvis, but it still hurts. But it was just kind of cool just seeing how that kind of helped cleanse my body, give me a fresh start, and started like lessening some of the pain and made my body because when you have so much trauma all over, I mean, the body doesn't know what to do sometimes. It's just like, And so like it was like helping me tell like, all right, we got to fix this, we got to fix that, because I had to have a lot of reconstructive surgery afterwards as well. But like I'm not really like a big drinker and things like that or smoker, but just the medicine and two, I love everybody. Everybody's awesome, family and friends, but everybody's like, you're gonna get addicted. You know, everybody thinks that, and I'm not like an addicted type personality, and it wasn't happening. But I did know like it was just not making me. I was a different person on those medicines, but also it was just jacking stuff up on the inside. So the acupuncture is kind of my deep cleanse in a sense, as well as the counseling for the mental and help. But I have some very good friends. I have a very good circle, and me and Mary, like we talk about everything. We don't have a thing where we just keep it in. Like we share everything and talk it all out. And thankfully my friends are that way too, and so they know like they can call me out on certain things, and we'll talk about it and figure out and see what to do. And I don't think if I didn't have them, I don't know where we would be as a marriage or as friends, or if I even be alive. Most people like they take the depressive route, and so I'm just thankful that I had this good core of friends in my family that were there for me. My brother-in-laws especially were always checking in, offering help. So it's just I wish that for other people. And then, so when I do tell my story, people don't have that. I'm like, I'm willing to sit down and talk to you about it. Like, let's go get coffee. And I'm not an expert, but I've been there, and I can hopefully maybe like give you a few ideas, or just maybe some people just need to get stuff off their chest. And I feel like being in the ministry, learning to have that ear and talking to students especially about what they're going through at home or at school, it kind of like I try to reuse that for other people and help out.
Well, and sometimes it's just like you said, sometimes it's just as simple as being able to tell your story and have someone listen. And
but most people, like, I feel I've been blessed. I feel my story's been shared a few times that I don't have to do that. We can get right in there. And I mean, I feel like listening's a key instrument and tool for people, and sometimes they'll talk themselves into what they need to do, but they need somebody across from them. And for me, what made counseling perfect for me was she was a complete stranger, and I've since looked for her. I can't find her. It's like vanished.
Really?
So the place, the facility she's at, they have no record of her. So I don't know if she's passed away, because she had an illness she was dealing with, but I have no idea. So it still makes it even more of a special thing. And now I talk to somebody differently, but I just encourage everybody to go. I mean, especially after COVID. I mean, I think everybody needs a few rounds of counseling, even couples counseling.
Yes.
Nobody's too good for counseling.
No. How have the kids been? I mean, I guess they were too young. To really.
And they know like certain things. They're too, like when we ride bikes now, and it took me 5 years to get back on my bicycle and start riding, but they ride and want to go together, and I ride very timidly. I'm like, I have lights all over, I got helmets, I have vests, I have like glow in the dark shirts, and the first few times were like pretty easy. I was doing my neighborhood, and then I started going around Lake Hollingsworth. But of course there's some boys who like their big trucks, and they like to yell at people in the middle of the night, and they don't know, but also just it doesn't make sense to me. But so now I just stick to the neighborhood, and I ride with our kids, and it's fun that we get to get back up. So that's been therapy for me, because a lot of times too, when something happens to us, that becomes like a fear marker, and we don't go back to it. And I get it, but for me, like, I want to be growing and not be afraid. And so I mean, I bought me a new bike. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And it was funny. I mean, it's like a cartoon. Like, I'll get on and get back off, because I'm like, couldn't do it, but I just like, I gotta go. And I just did one lap around a block, and I'm like, all right. And then just started slowly. But I'm still wearing, I mean, if I didn't have a helmet on, I would have been dead, because that was a good part of it. But I'm one of those guys, like, wear a helmet, have the lights.
Of course.
You never know.
How long have you been back on your bike?
I mean, it's probably been like 7 years. I mean, the accident was almost 10 years ago. So, I mean, it was like at least 5 years after the accident when I got back up. But it was just, the only thing that survived the accident was my helmet and my iPhone.
Oh, wow.
The clothes, I mean, it was covered in blood and ripped to shreds. They did the whole movie where they cut everything off. And but it was just crazy, because the bike was just pulverized. But somehow my phone, it was like an older iPhone back in the day. and nobody knew how to use it to call my wife. I'm like, just open it, call my wife. And they just laid it on my chest. So I was like laying in all the, the
oh my gosh.
But it's crazy. Like, those are the only things. So I still have the helmet. I still wear it today. I just got stickers all over it. But
yeah,
it's kind of.
It did you good.
Yeah, I went head first in that.
It's like a charm.
Yeah.
So what are you working on currently?
Currently, so if I'm not doing a freelance job for different clients, like I have a lot of logo jobs that I do for people, some branding, or do t-shirt designs. Parker Shoe, I just finished painting for them for the last 2 weeks. Then I'll be doing like house portraits for people. I work with a lot of realtors or just individuals. I have like occasionally a gallery's coming up. I'll do something for that, and then I do markets on the side. So I'll go and do like high-end markets, not like a farmer's market or a First Friday thing that some towns will have, but it's like the nicer ones in a sense. I'm not trying to talk down the other ones, but we have a little bit, different type of retail. It's also like t-shirts, candles, mugs, tote bags, prints, and a bunch of other new things we're working on. And so usually I'm like developing them. So right now we're going to come out with a bunch of new shirts. So we got a bunch of those figured out. So we're just kind of like picking out what color we want, because as soon as market starts again, which is next month, I have a bunch going. And I always try to like evolve my booth and setup, because I want it to be an experience when you come in, and I don't want it to look the same. So I've had like the last setup for about a year. So like the next one's gonna be, we've got a
ready for an upgrade.
Yeah, it's gonna be new, and so that's how my job works. Either I'm doing markets and retails, or I'm sending stuff to stores that people sell my stuff. Or I do private commissions for people, whether it's family portraits, pet portraits, houses, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or client work where I'll do branding, logos, murals. So I do a lot.
And it's been a little while, but
oh yes, in our book.
Your book.
Yes.
I brought it with me today because when I was at the book signing, somehow I didn't get it signed by you. Ida signed it, but I didn't get it signed by you, so I brought it back.
Oh,
so
awesome.
that we could, so we're planning on having a read of this at the live event. So my co-MC for the live event is Mom Ashley Rose, founder of Rose Dynasty. They're a nonprofit organization that supports and mentors LGBTQ plus youth.
Yeah.
And Mama Ashley Rose does story time on YouTube.
Okay.
She does live videos where she reads stories. So at the live event, we're going to have her read your book.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
And that was a fun thing, too, because we did the whole thing ourselves. There's no publisher, agents. It's just me and Ida.
Yeah.
She wrote it, I drew it, and then I'm like, if this is going to be like my first official book I'm putting out, with her, I'm like, let's go all out. Let's make a hardback. I wanted art inside the lining.
It's so beautiful.
And I wanted art on every page. And she was all about it too. And we had a bunch of Easter eggs hidden through there. And so now, we've sold out of both our printings, which has been phenomenal. It's been awesome.
I bought myself a copy and then I gave it away, and I don't know if I've done that 2 or 3 times now. I keep giving them away. So this one is mine.
Well, it's happened. A few other people have done that as well. And the other, my favorite, is people order it for friends who've left Lakeland. So I've shipped a lot throughout the country and different states and different places. Like I sent one to Pensacola today, actually. But it's just, it's a cool thing that we got to do that. So now we're working on another book right now, and I'm going to try to, curveball and do some different things that people haven't seen me do before.
Yeah.
But
so Ida's writing another one?
Yep.
Oh, I love Ida. She's so fantastic.
And there's a friend of a friend I helped. She wanted to do a little book, so I did a short story illustration for them, and just waiting for that to get announced once they've finished all that. But it's just been, if we're going to do something, I'm like, thankfully she let me do it my way. I got to do it in black and white. Most kids' books got some sort of color element or something, but
it's so fantastic. I don't think that anything is lost in the simplicity. I love it.
Thank you.
It's great.
It's fun because when Ida asked me a couple years ago to do it, and I'm like, all right. So I started working, but I was doing it really slow, and just because I had work and life going on. And then when COVID hit, my wife Mary, she's just like, we got to finish it. And so I made it a goal in my head, like, all right, I'm going to finish the book in a month. I'm going to go over everything 1 page a day, just everything's done, including covers and back. So by Thanksgiving, me and her like, all right, we got this. Let's print it. And the guy got it for us. And I remember like the day it was being shipped to our house, the first round of books for us. We had to go out of town, and I'm making Mary wait. I'm like, he's coming, and I even got to the point where I was driving around our neighborhood because I saw a UPS truck was looking for him, and then I caught Ida. I'm like, he's coming, and she just happened to be down the road, so we got to be there when the book showed up, and so it was just cool. I mean, like our first book, get to open it and share it with everybody, and Lakeland's been awesome about it.
I do want you to sign this, so I'm going to leave this out so I don't forget again. And I also brought you a gift.
Oh, really?
So it just happened by accident that Ron, I knew that Ron collects playing cards, and I had this pack that was super specific that I wanted to give him, and so I gave him that at the
awesome.
first interview.
Yeah.
And then my second interview was my friend Bethany, and I was trying to decide which bracelet to wear, and I decided I'm gonna wear both, and I'm gonna give one to Bethany. And so then it ended up, I keep giving people things each time, so
that's awesome.
So anyway, I have now made it a thing. And so your thing, my husband assures me that you will love.
Oh, awesome.
I do not know if you will love this, but I know you collect vinyl.
That's true. Oh, Third Man.
And so I don't know.
awesome.
Do you have that record?
I don't, but this is awesome because Third Man Records is, Jack White's thing, and they can make a record right in the store if you want to go and sing a song. They have a machine that'll do that. But he's a big vinyl guy, so he puts a lot of attention and time into it. So this is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So that is the Raconteurs. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before. Yeah. Okay,
it's like a
cool.
Group. Yeah.
Yeah. So that album is a special release, and you can only buy it on their website.
That is awesome. And it's live too, so they'll have that live in Nashville. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I thought as an activity that we could listen to a record. It doesn't have to be that one. It can be one that you pick off the wall.
Yeah.
But I wanted us to listen to a record because I know you love records, and I would love to. Do you have Cope? Do I see Cope?
That's a Manchester Orchestra's name of the band, but that's the name of their album. It's called Cope.
Oh.
And they have another one that comes out called, a companion one called Hope as well.
It looks very close to, my husband used to manage some local bands, and one of the bands was Cope.
Okay, gotcha.
And I was like, wait a minute.
There's a lot of fun ones up in there too.
But yeah, so if you want to pick something out, and then I thought that we would just color together.
Totally.
Or if you're working on something that you want to draw, and I brought some of your free coloring pages from your website, which is so fantastic. I appreciate that there are accessible items.
Yeah. That was for COVID.
Website.
I think the first 45 days I put a new image up for everybody to download in color.
Yeah.
And so we took a few down but left most of them up, and every day, including today, people are download them.
Yes.
So I don't know. I haven't checked how many some have gone, but it's just kind of cool because I'm like, what's something? Because a lot of people are making date nights around it. Like, we're going to make food and we'll color together. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because I feel mine are different than the typical adult coloring book. It's kind of my thing, but it was just kind of something fun to do. And most of my pieces are black and white anyway, so they're already ready to be colored.
Yes. I just thought it would be cool for us to just have a moment of, just relaxing and doing kind of your type of therapy.
Definitely.
If you will. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Do you, when you do make stuff, do you have a preference of what you like to use? Like, I know you're using crayons right now.
I usually do not make visual anything because I can't draw a proper stickman. I realized at 30 that I wanted to teach, and by then I was already paying the bills in some other way.
What was the first thing you did once you or what was the first thing that triggered that for you?
It was actually, I got involved with
Lakeland Community Theater, actually. I was invited to go to a like a brunch thing, and I ended up sitting next to Tammy Sarabrin, who is now a friend of mine. And she said, you should come audition for theater. And I said, I've never done anything like that. No. And she said,
like a speaking part, or
you don't have to have any experience. Just come out and audition.
This is for, there's a strawberry farm right outside of Lakeland between Winter Haven called Jim Rash, and they're like the biggest watermelon producers on the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
So every year they have to do an expo, and they have a theme for it, and they always have shirts, so they always have me draw them. This is like an early on one. The most recent one this year was like a Marvel theme, so I did like a whole superhero farmer for them. But like it'll start like this, and then I'll clean it up and scan it and put it on different paper, but almost everything starts out in the book. Oh, this is a fun story. So a guy hired me to design a tattoo for him, did it, and then sent it to him. He picked I believe he picked this one right here, and that was it. Never heard from him again. And then this past Christmas, a guy bought a house portrait for his wife. It's the first house she sold as a realtor. So I meet him in Plant City. We're at the Starbucks at the Nonesassa. I'm handing him the house, and on his forearm is this. I'm like, I drew that. He's like, yeah, I hired you. I'm like, well, you never sent me a picture. So I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. So like, and I mean, went years without even know what happened to it, because I do a lot of designs for tattoos for people, but I never see them, and so just like seeing on his arm like that just caught me off guard. And then,
that's cool.
Then I just made that when that movie came out, because they filmed it like 2 blocks over at one of the houses, and then they used the park over here, and of course Southgate.
Yeah.
There was like 4 or 5 locations, but that was just like every once in a while, like if something's cool, I'll do like a little in this color, which is rare. And I did a whole plant series, which we made prints of and everything. So I did all the different types of succulents and house plants. So everything starts out in like a loose pencil, like this for me. And then
that is crazy. So this project has kind of taken on a sub-theme, because so many of the artists are connected by the healing properties of working with plants. And so like it started with Bethany Lynham, and her art of recovery actually is working with plants. And then awesome. Rick Olivo, gardening to strengthen his heart, and Stefan and myself starting our own gardens to just kind of, like, it's just really cool.
Now, have you seen my stories I've posted online about my robot and monster? So I got a little, because as an artist, you have to do something for yourself. You you have to make time. And so a lot of artists I follow, like one guy, his name's Tad Carpenter, he does suns on Sundays. So he always makes a sun for him, and he tries every genre of art style. And he just recently put a book out, because he's done like over 200 Sundays in a row.
Oh, wow.
So he had a book capturing it. And so I'm like, I want to do a book and put out 1 page every week. But then Christmas got insane, so I paused it until this month. I got 6 new ones I'm writing. But every day I would put out a page about my robot and monster who go on these adventures. And so they always start out like, because when I was in high school, I always drew really small. I didn't want my teachers to know I was drawing in class. And so today everything I draw, everything for clients is super small. And then I'll blow it up much bigger.
And then you do it on a bigger scale. Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been
thanks for
great.
coming to the house. Get to show off the studio finally.
Yes. Play some records.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all. Thanks again
super
for that.
fun.
Thank you. No problem.